Hi, so today over 5,000 people have been diagnosed with COVID-19 in Ireland, and 5% of them are requiring critical care. So that leaves just under 5,000 people at home dealing with symptoms like shortness of breath and secretion retention, things that if you haven't had a respiratory problem before can be very difficult to alleviate. Today's video is about trying to lessen the impact of these symptoms and hopefully will help people to speed up the recovery process and help them deal with those symptoms. So let's get into it. So ideally, if you are suffering with COVID-19, you've got shortness of breath, you want to spend as much time sitting up during the day and not lying down. When we lie down, it can be difficult to take deep breaths. It can be difficult to deal with shortness of breath. So ideally what we'd do is we'd sit out of bed as often as possible, take short walks around our bed. If we're isolating and we're remaining in the one area, walk around the bed a few times a day, certainly as often as possible, but don't push yourself so hard so that you feel dizzy or any fatigue. Regularly take breaks, but do try and get out of the bed as often as possible and stay out of the bed as much during the day in an upright position. Now, when we're in bed, at night time, lying down, a lot of people are reporting feeling shortness of breath, which is interrupting their sleep. So shortness of breath at night can cause a bad night's sleep. It can lead to us feeling even worse, and it can also lead to an increase in the length of time that we're going to be ill and feel symptoms from. So a good night's sleep is a really important thing to get. While we're trying to get some sleep at night, if we're feeling short of breath, it can be a good idea to sit in a slightly inclined position, just raising ourselves up slightly off the bed. Okay, so a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll get an extra pillow, and when they're in their lying position, they'll throw the extra pillow down like this and try and bring themselves up a little bit like this. That's not bad, but a much better way of getting ourselves into an upright position is to use a few more pillows and support our rib cage. So this can be the same for when we're sitting in bed during the day also. It's a nice easy way of keeping a nice comfortable upright position while also being able to relax. So what we do is we form a little V with two extra pillows on top of our usual pillow, and in doing so what that does is it just supports both sides of our rib cage. It supports our shoulders in an upright position, and we can sit in a much more comfortable position. At night, if we're trying to get some sleep, or even during the day if we're trying to get some sleep, if we can add an extra pillow on top of that V, just up around our shoulders, we can now lie in a very comfortable position, get some sleep in a much more upright position. It can take a lot of the stress of shortness of breath away from us quite quickly. Ideally though, during the day, as I've said before, we don't want to be in this position for too long. Okay, the reason being is that if we're short of breath, we want to utilize all our lung capacity. When we sit in a bent forwards position in bed for too long, what happens is our abdominal contents, because we're bent in the middle, is now pushing up on our diaphragm. What that does is it just compresses the lower part of the lungs here, and it prevents us from being able to expand our lower ribs quite like they should be able to, in comparison to when we're sitting up. Now the abdominal contents drops down and allows us to get a nice big deep breath in much easier.